Hello and welcome to 24 Panels Per Second. This is the movie and TV show for the Comic Crush, the show where we exclusively talk about film and TV shows based on comic books, based on your favourite comic books, I hope, and probably some ones you don't like as well, but it doesn't matter. So today we are going to talk about the San Diego Comic-Con 2022 announcements. I couldn't do this on my own because, one, keeping track of all those announcements I found was utterly impossible, and two, I wanted to bring on someone with an insider knowledge and who is really good at this stuff. So I've been lucky enough today to be joined by one of my favourite entertainment journalists, currently working in the UK, and one of the best entertainment journalists, I think, working in the UK, whose pieces I always find entertaining, exciting, interesting, always well informed. So please say hello to Eamon Jacobs. Hello.
You are far too kind, Paul. You're far too kind.
I like stuff, otherwise I wouldn't have asked you to come on, would I? See?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Oh, good God, there is so much content to talk about.
There is. I mean, this year more than any other, there seems to be, I think, partly because of COVID and things like that, there's been this glut of stuff that kind of all got stopped and now has kind of just surged forward and threatens to drown us. Do you feel like you're drowning in movies and TV?
Yeah, a little bit. It's Kevin Feige just going, look at it, there it is, drink it, I've made you some more.
But
you finished that? Oh, there's some more. Oh, and here's another plate of it. And there's more plates coming in 2025.
Just one more with the thin mint.
Oh,
I think partly it is the COVID thing though. Like phase 4 got so kind of held back and curtailed. Starting with Black Widow, and its revolving release dates. That I think that now they are a bit pushed to try and get some of this stuff out. We'll talk about the dangers of that, I'm sure, as we go on, because I think there are some dangers, not life-threatening dangers. It's only comics and TV, folks. Don't worry, you're safe. But yeah, there are some downsides to it all, but a lot of upsides too. One of the downsides for this year was, although we got a ton of Marvel content, we didn't get a whole hell of a lot of DC stuff.
Which was kind of surprising, to be honest.
Yeah.
Some of it, not so much, but a lot of it, I expected more than 2 movies to be on Hall H, to be honest.
So what were the 2? So it was so small, one can hardly.
Yes. So it was Black Adam, of course, which is, if you hadn't heard, going to change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe. Just in case we all missed The Rock's statements about that, it is going to change the hierarchy of power.
It's quite unusual for The Rock to be full of any kind of hyperbole or promotional zeal for the films that he's in. So I find that quite strange that he's gone down that route. But
wild. It's totally wild. And then obviously it was bookended with Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is obviously the sequel to the 2019 Shazam. And I can't take credit for this. This was my friend Nick who pointed this out. Warner Brothers' Hall H DC panel was about 2 characters who have exactly the same powers.
Yeah, and come from exactly the same
place.
Niche part of the DC. Well, not niche. I mean, they were quite big. I think. So partly what's I think always limited Shazam was the ongoing Captain Marvel issue.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of limited, and also I struggle to recall the definitive Shazam book. I'm sure there have been some, and I am just not aware of them. Because although I'm fairly well read in DC, you can't read everything, and you will miss stuff. And I'm sure that a lot of people feel that Shazam is just, Superman by another name, which it isn't. It isn't. It is quite different in a lot of ways.
I think the differences come from his origin and Billy Batson and Billy Batson's surrounding characters.
Yeah.
Because that is obviously a much different dynamic to, Clark Kent and Lois. Do you know what I mean? But it is very Superman light, sort of.
yeah. I mean, obviously, it doesn't.
But that's not a criticism on the film, because I thought the film was a breath of fresh air. Actually, it was so much more fun than I was expecting it to be. Zachary Levi just smashes it. He's got that sort of childish sense of fun that doesn't sort of bog it down in typical like action hero status, like somebody like The Rock does, for example. Like, The Rock comes to a role and it's like it's The Rock, whereas Zachary Levi, I saw that and was like, well, that is just an older Billy Batson in. Do you know what I mean? And that worked, but I can't say I'm as excited for Black Adam, to be honest.
I'm interested because they've done, it's almost like the thing where, hey, we're a bit unsure about this Christopher Reeve guy, so we're just going to throw in a couple of good actors. We'll throw in Pierce Brosnan, which Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate is the thing I'm really kind of there for.
Yeah. Silver Fox, by the way, as well.
Yeah. Like he's a great fucking great looking guy, and I think he's got a lot of presence, and I think he does bring gravitas. And I think it's a weird thing because all the Bonds, as they grow older, gain a lot of emotional weight. I think. Yeah. And I think partly because of doing Bond, which you can say is quite light, unless Daniel Craig does it. That wasn't light and fun. It was good, but not light and fun. Like they all gain a lot of kind of, there is gravitas there. And I think he carries that off well. He's got presence. He's got that indefinable thing. The Rock has a lot of presence. I think that, like, a buddy of mine once said to me, he was talking about Will Smith, and he said, there's always a moment in a Will Smith film where he's got to be Big Willie. Yeah. And it's true. And I think The Rock has always got to be The Rock. Do you know what I mean?
That's not necessarily a criticism of The Rock. No. He knows how to capture an audience, and he knows that people will go and see him. Like, you just have to look at the Jumanji movies. They're incredibly successful because of The Rock. Right, essentially, and his dynamic with Kevin Hart, obviously. But I think they're trying to use that same approach with Black Adam. But I think the problem is nobody cares about Black Adam. Like in a general audience kind of discussion.
Yeah, it hasn't reached the wider world yet.
No, and I think Shazam nailed it because it was something different at the time, and it was a completely different tone to what fans had seen from DC. A la Snyder. So that's kind of why that won people over, like general audiences over. But Black Adam, it's kind of cookie cutter, cut and paste. It doesn't really seem to have an identity from the first trailers that we've seen. And I think it says a lot that, for me, the most interesting part of it was that the JSA are in it.
Yeah.
And my thought was, why not just make a JSA movie?
Sure, yeah. I mean,
and
but
have Black Adam as the villain.
Equally, but then there's no. Which actor do you hang the JSA movie on?
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, but like for young comic book audiences. Young people like yourself. Not for me. Doesn't matter to me. I'm kind of rapidly approaching 50. They couldn't give a monkeys about me. For young comic book audiences like yourself. And dare I say it, the people that are even younger than you, Pierce Brosnan is not going to be that much draw.
But they've also got Noah Centineo in as Atom Smasher. Now Noah Centineo is a bit of a Netflix star.
Right. What's he from? I see. There you go. Here's the age gap.
Yeah.
Who?
So he's in To All the Boys I Loved Before, which is a really, really adorable rom-com. Like, and even the sequel was quite cute. And he's in a few other like meet cute rom-coms and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he was actually meant to be He-Man at one point. I'm not sure if that's still in the works or not. I don't think it is. So he's kind of like the teen heartthrob type figure. I thought Atom Smasher was a very strange choice for him, but after seeing the trailer, it does work, the new one.
Right.
But I just Black Adam just does nothing for me, unfortunately. So I'm just not particularly excited for it.
I think at the very least you'll get a performance.
100%. Like, I'm not going to be bored, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Shazam 2, I'm very much interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Although
I'm more interested for that.
Yeah, by the time it comes out, how many years between Shazam and Shazam 2?
3? No, 4.
Is that all? 4? 3? 4?
Because it was, what, 2018, 2019?
Right. See, 4 years is a long time to wait for movies, for sequels.
Yeah,
I genuinely think you should be looking at every 2 to 2.5 years if you want to get it, if you want to still maintain that thing. However, I mean, they know what they're doing better than I do because they're the ones earning billions.
I mean, do Warner Brothers know what they're doing? Really?
Well, okay. So the flip side to all this is, of course, the Warner's Discovery merger.
Yeah.
Not to bore everyone with the business aspects of it, but they've split Warner's into these separate divisions now, one of which is DC. And I suspect it just needs a person or group of people to come in and 5 year up and go, right, you're doing this. This is who we're going to hire to do this. Those guys have strengths in comedy. So we're going to put them there and we're going to put these guys there, or maybe to be a bit more experimental. The thing is, when you look at the DC movies, they are more experimental in terms of their directors or in terms of the content than the Marvel movies are. Yeah. Even though the Marvel guys hire more experimental directors.
But I mean, you just have to look at Aquaman.
Yeah,
Aquaman has a full horror sequence with James Wan. Do you know what I mean?
Experimental or filthy trash.
Pushing the boat out a bit further. Pushing the boat out a bit further than generic comic book movies. Do you know what I mean?
I hate you.
I am not an Aquaman fan of the film, to be honest. Like, that's not. Jason Momoa is not my Aquaman.
They did not have any Aquaman 2 stuff there.
No, which is surprising. But I'll tell you why. It's because Amber Heard's in it.
Well, is she? Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's going to be a very short movie now. It's suddenly clocking in at 45 minutes. So that's weird. I think the problem is, unfortunately for Warner Brothers, even though they had a really kind of ambitious slate of future films and sequels, they have been sort of mired by a couple of public, controversies that have kind of shot them in the foot, out not through fault of their own. The Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff, unfortunately, has dominated the news cycle for the past year and a half.
And Ezra Miller,
and then Ezra Miller
is like,
it just seems to be a weekly bulletin of their escapades, accusations.
It's difficult to make light of the actual things they seem to be doing. Again, we must always say this with the grain of salt, in that we are not there in that situation, and therefore you only know what's being reported. However, I do not want to minimize the experiences that the people involved in that are going through.
No, of course not.
Because they could be quite unsettling at the very least, and downright dangerous at the worst. And perhaps Ezra does need, as Grant Morrison has said, this doesn't chime with the person that I know. Maybe they really do need some serious help. The reports certainly seem to lean towards that.
Yeah, they were slightly worrying, especially when there was underage children involved.
Yeah, it's all just a bizarre situation, and I wonder if that's going. I mean, to not talk about to talk about what's going to happen to the movie for a moment, if we may. And sorry to bring it down to this, but I think what's probably going to happen is that movie is going to disappear very quietly onto HBO Max. And
I don't think Warner Brothers can afford to, because they spent around 250 million, I believe, on their budget, and I'm just like, that is a lot of money.
But you know, but remember, you know, it was another 70 million to get the Snyder Cut finished, at least.
True. Yeah.
And that was just straight onto HBO Max. And I suspect that this may just be a massive write-down for them for next quarter. Yeah,
it's a shame because it could be something great. It could be something really special. You know, I mean, Michael Keaton.
Which is something that fans really seem to desperately want. I mean, I don't. I've got no particular real love for the Keaton Batman. Well, I haven't. Like, but people really wanted it, and you know, I think they've kind of safeguarded that by sticking him in the Batgirl movie as well.
Yeah.
Which is the film of the two that I'm actually more interested in seeing. I think that, and again, nothing on Batgirl, and yet we've had a ton of press on Batgirl.
Yeah, but nothing on Blue Beetle either.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. See, they do feel like they're just struggling and drowning in their own. It's just
odd. You know, all it would have taken was, you know, Michael Keaton to be on stage for 5 minutes, and I guarantee a lot of the bad, even though people would have still been talking about the Ezra Miller stuff, there would be a lot more goodwill about the Flash, whereas it's just not being talked about.
But I suspect the reason it's not being talked about is they're desperately trying to make it go away.
Yeah, which is a shame.
I'm not overly excited at the, you know, Andy Muschietti. Am I saying that right? Having seen the two It movies, I'm just like, okay, all right. I'm going to be probably slightly more brutal than you.
Maybe. Having spoken to the guy, I'm not. He can direct, of course. Yeah, part one, fantastic, incredible. I loved it. Part two, I enjoyed it, but part of that was because, you know, I was very sort of early on in my career, and I was doing a junket, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting to see it early."
Yeah,
and then you rewatch it, and you're like, "That's too long. That's far too long. What are you doing?"
I don't know. I'm not knocking his ability to direct a movie. I just don't. I'm not thrilled by the prospect of watching another.
I'm just bored of Flashpoint at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's been done. Go watch the animated movie. The animated movie is amazing.
Which I've not seen. Can I confess something? Which, as a comics reader surrounded by comics, some that you can see and some that you can't. I've never read Flashpoint. I've got it. It's sitting there. I've not read it. I'm looking forward to reading it because I'm currently getting Flashpoint Beyond, which does seem like interesting stuff to me. So I'm hoping to kind of read the pair of those back to back. But yeah,
it is good. I think the reason it works is the emotional core of Barry's story in the middle of like a completely different world. I am not a huge fan of the Thomas Wayne Batman. I think that's a little bit. It's just a bit simple, personally.
I've liked him in others. Like, I loved him in Tom King's run.
I did, yeah. In Tom King's run, he works really well. In this, it was just a little bit like, oh, okay, he's got guns.
Yeah,
fine, sure. It's a solid book. I really enjoyed the book, and it's one of the first Flash books I actually read.
Right.
Alongside the New 52,
Okay.
and really, really enjoyed it. But the animated movie it's pretty good. It's pretty spot on.
I'll definitely give that a look because it's not something I've seen yet. I think I've got it somewhere, but yeah, DC. I don't know why they didn't. If they've got this big hole in the entertainment stuff, the film stuff, they didn't just attempt to fill that with comics. And I wonder if part of the reason is because we're still going to do Fandom like 2023,
Possibly,
2022. Which they haven't announced yet, and it's getting late. We're coming up to August, so you need to, if you're going to do that, they need to announce it.
I was surprised they didn't announce anything to do with the Batman, bar that Riddler prequel comic being written by Paul Dano.
Paul Dano, yeah.
But I kind of expected even just Matt Reeves to be like, "This is our general idea for the sequel." Do you know what I mean? Or even just like a confirmation that it's happening. I know they've sort of said it already, but just something would have been nice.
I've got a feeling it's going to be Court of Owls.
I'd like it to be Court of Owls.
Okay.
I like Court of Owls.
Right.
I know you're not as much of a fan, are you?
No, I liked it, but I don't know. I probably, if I reread it now, I probably couldn't point to what my issues were. My issue was probably that I'd just read 20 odd years of Batman. And then when they came along and went, New 52, so we're just going to erase most of that and we're going to start again and do it. It was just like, no, please don't do that.
I would rather, if they're going to do Court of Owls, they need to do it as the third film. They need to do something to build up to that, I think, personally, because then that's a good conclusion to the whole, corruption understory that they are telling.
Right.
I think the second one needs to be something that leans further into that. I still think they should do Professor Pig because he's bloody terrifying. I know he's a Dick Grayson villain, but
done properly in that world, yeah. Absolutely.
It fit in perfectly. Yeah. That pig mask done in Matt Reeves' style, nightmare fuel. Absolute nightmare fuel. And I'm here for it.
I totally agree. I mean, I think that film had a very distinct look. I didn't enjoy the film as much as I wanted to.
It's probably because you ignored me at the screening, Paul.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, you messaged me about that, didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't ignore you.
Me and my partner were there, and I shouted
so
3 times, and she was like, "Are you sure that's him? Because he's just walked like past you." And I was like, "That's cool." In fact, you actually ignored me 4 times because you walked past us in the queue, and I was shouting you, and then in the screening I shouted you, and you just was like,
"I'm so sorry." I get very fixated on whatever I'm going to or whatever I'm looking at. And I think that, I tell you, I'd just come off in that evening. I just had an argument outside the cinema with somebody who I bumped into and then wouldn't accept an apology. They got really annoyed. And it's just like, I'm really sorry. Entirely my fault.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. You think that'd be the end of it? It wasn't. They weren't injured, by the way. No ambulances were called. But yeah, so I just had an argument in there. And also I was with a friend who I hadn't seen in ages. I was very much concentrating on what she was saying. And also the number of people at that dude, like the number of people at that screening. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And also I think I'd forgotten my COVID test. But
anyway, let's get over Paul.
I'm sorry that you're you and
still bitter about it 5 months
your lovely
later.
Lady were slighted by that.
I think she was more laughing at me because I just looked like I was just shouting like.
And the thing is, I'm always fucking.
It'd be lovely having a mental breakdown in the cinema.
It's well, on the rare chance I do actually get to see you out in the real world. I love it. It's always like, there's Eamon. Ironically, I did spot someone else I knew sitting in the cinema and said hello to them. So they had all the attention that you should have got.
Great. Cheers, Paul. Cheers, mate.
My apologies to you and your charming young lady. So I mean, yeah, DC, like Shane, I think. Is it a lost cause? I think for another year or so it might be.
Maybe.
Well, you know what? It's a lost cause until which comes first, Black Adam or Shazam 2?
Black Adam.
Right.
I think
until that comes out and is a huge hit, it's a lost cause. But once it comes out and it's a huge hit, everyone goes, I fucking knew it. Oh
yeah. Christ. Well, in one of my friends basically didn't believe that it was a real film.
I love it.
Which is great because it just seemed to just keep getting like delayed for years and years. And I did do a little bit of digging at one of my old jobs, and it's something mad like 2004, 2005 that he's been attached for a DC movie.
But it's weird how those things go about, because they'll attach those guys, but they won't necessarily attach them directly to a project. It will just be there's the general conversation. Yeah. Here's a quick conversation about money, and then we'll start,
Yeah, because he was originally supposed to be Shazam.
Yeah. And how much of that is talking about money is renegotiating his deal as he becomes more and more valuable. Because
which is fair, if he knows his worth and he's a good businessman.
And there was a stage where if you wanted a hit sequel, regardless of whether or not he'd been in the first film, you hired The Rock.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, Fast and the Furious. Yeah, but that second movie came out and it was a massive hit. And he has an interesting effect on movies. I'd love to see him act. But you know what I mean? Like,
it's The Rock as The Rock.
I'd love to see him put up with a decent director.
Yeah.
Who's really going to sit on him and make a bang. Anyway, we should probably move on to the thing that everyone's doubtless waiting for, the Marvel stuff.
Yes.
An overabundance this year of Marvel stuff. Again, I feel held back not held back, but I feel caused by COVID. We got a lot more than we could ever hope for, and this is before D23 in September, as we were talking about before we went on air. Now, first of all, animated stuff. Just to touch on that, there is I Am Groot, right?
So there's I Am Groot, which is 5 short films. I think they're about 20 minutes in total altogether. That's on manageable. August 5th, so that's very soon. I believe Vin Diesel's voicing Groot again. It looks cute. The trailer was very cute. Like it was adorable. And I'm glad they're not trying to do like it's the Groot series. You know? They're just kind of giving you what you want out of Baby Groot. It's lighthearted, fun, low stakes comedy. It does look adorable. I mean, if you don't smile at Groot farting out a leaf, then I don't know what to tell you, because your soul's probably black and corroded, because that is just adorable. So
I'll probably watch it. I'm not a big fan of animated stuff, or rather, I find it difficult to muster the enough excitement to switch it on and watch it. I still haven't watched it.
It is the same CGI as it is in the films.
Okay. So it's not.
No, it's not like a. It's still the same CGI animation style as he is in the Guardians films, but it's clearly going to be all animation at the same time, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
He's all in animated backgrounds and environments. Sure. So it looks cute and harmless. We'll probably get some sort of Guardians 3 tease in there somewhere, if I had to guess. Be it Rocket comes and picks him up or something. But then after that, there's X-Men 97. which is obviously the follow up to the
Are
original.
you an X-Men 92 fan? X-Men 90s?
I watched it like religiously as a kid and loved it. You know, the theme tune is just like burnt into my brain.
And apparently to Marvel's, because every time they do anything even remotely connected to X-Men in the MCU, you get that little
that little twinkle,
little riff, and I'm a bit miffed because I'm a big fan of Michael Kamen's X-Men theme. And I kind of wish there'd be a nod to that, but you can't have everything. Again, not that I've got zero interest. I just think I'm going to struggle to fit this in with everything else.
I hope they just do it as like a one season and done. I don't think we need a constant continuation. I think just one more batch of episodes, have it as a celebration of the series as a whole, and then leave it there. The chances of that are very low because it's Marvel and Disney Plus. It does sound interesting. Magneto is going to be leading the X-Men because Professor X sort of disappeared, or he's taken off by, I think it's the Shi'ar at the end of season 5 of the original 92 series. So that'll be interesting. It's a very similar, animation style, just slightly updated. Same costumes, pretty much.
When is that out? Do you know when it hits?
I believe it's 2024.
Jesus.
So it's still a bit of a wait for that one. Yeah. So that'll be a while, and it's the same for Spider-Man freshman year.
Okay. Now this one you are kind of you're kind of fired up for, right?
Yeah. Mainly because when they first announced it, it was like, oh, it's MCU Peter's sort of first year. And I was like, okay, that's interesting, sure. And kind of wasn't really fussed about it. And then when all the concept art of the characters came out over Comic-Con, it got me in. I'm sold. Perfect mix of 60s, like the original designs, meets sort of updating modern looks and modern costumes. Peter is wearing a yellow jumper and a white shirt, but with like a denim jacket over the top, and he's got like the circular glasses. So I'm kind of a bit more up for it. And some of the like character designs, like villain designs especially, are amazing. Doc Ock is in green and orange, but there's also people like Scorpion in it. But because it's obviously freshman year, the Scorpion in the MCU only shows up very briefly in Homecoming, and he is not, the Scorpion that comics fans will know. And Doctor Strange is also meant to be in it. So all of those things means that it's not in the MCU because it's conflicting. Right. Which I kind of think is better because it's going to let it do its own thing. And the Spidey design is great. It's very analog, very clunky, but in a different way to the homemade suit from Homecoming. He's wearing a jersey with the spider on it. And then he's got massive web slingers. Like, they're huge. They're almost like the Japanese Spider-Man's clunky metal ones.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's a really unique design. I really like it. And Daredevil's in it as well, so I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to talk about the Devil of Hell Kitchen because one of the big things I think with this we're just going to hop around, right?
Yeah,
we're just going to hop around. We're not going to do this in order. So one of the big announcements was that there is a new Daredevil series coming called Born Again with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. The thing that shocked me about this is that it's going to be 18 episodes.
I am baffled.
And, I don't.
Is a lot.
Yeah, and it's just like 18, 20-minute episodes. Like, is this how we're doing it? Because that's a lot of series.
It is. My theory is that it's I think they'll clarify it further down the line. But I think they're taking a similar approach that they're doing with Andor, the Star Wars series, because it's got the same amount of episodes. But each six episodes is its own like chapter.
Okay. And do you
of
think there's
Andor.
going to be breaks?
I'd guess there'd be breaks.
Right.
Because otherwise that is, if they're doing it serialized, a weekly release, it's too much.
Yeah.
Even Marvel can't sustain that amount of conversation weekly for
I think
18
they
weeks.
because I think part of the reason why they're gearing towards that is that you get, it's like, yeah, this is going to give us 18 weeks of conversation, 18 weeks of engagement, 18 weeks of people positing theories, including me and including you.
Of course, yeah, not, but I think there needs to be a line. Obviously, I am stupidly excited to see Charlie Cox back as Daredevil in his own series. Of course, I am. I can't bloody wait. And the fact that they're doing Born Again, I'm like, yes. Even though there was elements of it in season 3 of the Netflix series, I'm interested to see how they're going to do it. But I really think they'd be best off just doing it in 6-episode chunks. Because otherwise that is just a lot. And I think you would see a lot of people just be like, just drop it at once. Just drop it all at once. So I'm really not sure if the weekly model should work for that.
Yeah. And I mean,
obviously I'm happy to be wrong. I'm more than happy to be wrong. But it just seems like a lot.
My hope is that we really will get the whole cast back. I mean, Deborah Ann Wall deserves to be 100%. Back in that series. What a great actor. And one of the absolute definite highlights for me of those 3 seasons on Netflix. Elodie Young as Elektra. Yeah. Come on, bring her back. I would like to see them all come back. Like I would like to see them bring the entire Netflix kind of cast of those series back.
There are rumors that Kristen Ritter's coming back as Jessica Jones, which I'm very happy about.
Apparently she's going to be popping up in She-Hulk, I've heard. We know Daredevil is going to pop up in She-Hulk, which is good. We got a glimpse of that.
Yes, it is.
I am dying to see what happened to Luke Cage at the end of season 2 of Cage. Like, I really, like.
I think it's a shame. Do you know what? I'm gonna say a bold statement as well. The end of Iron Fist season 2, actually stuck the landing and left it in a really interesting place. Whether or not I need to see, what's his name? Christ, that's bad, isn't it? The guy that plays Iron Fist, I can't think of his name.
No, I have a real, like, I actually
Finn Jones.
Yeah. So I really liked the first 2, the 2 Iron Fist seasons we got. I was kind of a lone voice going, actually, I think there's an interesting journey taking place here. I didn't agree with a lot of the backlash, because a lot of the backlash seemed to be based on the fact that, and respectfully, not to start any racial arguments, because that doesn't interest me, and that's not what I'm here for. But that he's not Asian. And it's just like, but he was never Asian in the comics, and not you are free to adapt, and people are free to adapt. And there is now a push I've seen online to kind of go, okay, reboot this with an Asian actor, and it's just like, that's fine, and you can make that work. But I'm still interested in what's happening to this Danny Rand, and to maybe make the kind of appropriation of it, if you want to say that, part of the series. Which I think with characters like, her name's gone. She's a terrific actress.
Colleen Wing.
Yes, but the actress is Jessica
Henwick.
Yes. Like with characters like that in the show, you can start making that part of the show. So I think at least address it, but please let him finish. And
I know what you're saying.
Please finish the story. And also Tom Pelphrey, who I think is one of the guy who plays Ward. I think is one of the most phenomenal actors I've seen in anything in years. Like his
Spiral with addiction and stuff
Yeah.
in that first and second season was incredible.
Mm.
Like really, really impressive. It's just a shame that most of it took part in boardrooms and meetings.
Yeah. That is the thing, is how do you marry those how do you marry those worlds, and how do you make that interesting?
Yeah.
And how do you kind of, rebuild the defenders?
Yeah. I mean, you could do it traditionally now that if they're, Doctor Strange is right there, you could do it traditionally. Meets the new school. Do you know what I mean?
And that's an interesting thing, because you've got She-Hulk, you've got the Hulk popping up in She-Hulk. So maybe what the big thing they're leaning to isn't just Young Avengers; it's going to be Defenders. It's going to be
possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that.
Definitely. But in terms of Daredevil, no, it's all right. In terms of the Daredevil series, I am very interested to see how that fits in the world, and if they are going to make the Netflix seasons like canon, if you will.
Yeah.
And especially because obviously there are born again elements in season 3, so like Matt's life being torn apart, and Wilson Fisk finding out who he is, etc. So it's going to be interesting to see how they sort of pick and choose. I would love to see Bullseye back, because I loved Wilson Bethel, I think, plays him.
Right.
He is phenomenal. Again, the way that he, like, his breakdown in season 3 was just incredible. I know it's gonna hurt you, Paul, but they should kill Karen Page, because it would be earned. Do you know what I mean? It would really hit you where it hurts, because of their dynamic and their relationship they've built.
I mean,
then they can do Daredevil Yellow, because the yellow suit's in She-Hulk.
Very true, very true. And Daredevil Yellow is best read, if you're kind of rereading Daredevil, is best read after Kevin Smith's run, rather than before, because it is the form of a letter to Karen Page, where he talks about the initial days of their relationship and all that, and so I agree with that. I think that wisely they've managed to take away from her. They've avoided her sort of career as a adult actress. Let's say that term. And a drug addict. Although it was hinted at in season 1 or season 2, where they talk about someone mentions her past, and they never actually kind of define what that means.
They do a little bit in, I think it is season 3. You sort of see a flashback of basically she winds up getting her brother killed because of her sort of partying lifestyle. It's nowhere near as hard as the comics is, and she's not into anything explicit, but there's still room for it to be the addiction storyline. There's still room for that, because of the brother.
Do you know what? I completely forgot about the brother thing. It's been so long since I watched those shows. But one of the key things in that is that in the comics, that's the thing that kicks off Born Again. That is like she sells Matt Murdock's secret identity for drugs, basically. So like everything to play for in that series, really. I'm definitely down. That's in 2024.
There are so many series coming out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean, we may struggle to do this in 20 minutes, but we'll try, we'll do our best.
Because there is a tidal wave of shows, like, ridiculous.
We have to talk about Black Panther 2, or Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Beautiful trailer. My problem is with Marvel in general at the moment is they seem to be making stunning trailers, but not great movies. I think they very much become about the sizzle, not the steak. But I've got high hopes for this, because it just looks
it looks amazing. Like something else. It looks like they are really going to try and honor Chadwick Boseman. Although it does feel ever so slightly morbid mixing the two, because it kind of feels
Completely.
like cashing in on his death
Mm.
a little bit. But I think because they're doing it in the right way,
Yeah.
I think it will work. But I do understand the criticisms of, like, he's only passed, what, 2 years ago, coming up 2 years ago. So I do understand that is a little bit sensitive, but
And also
done in the right
within,
way, it'll be very powerful.
yeah, within the world of the movie, it's difficult because the last time we saw him, he was alive as the character.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they killed him off in What If. Did they? I mean, is there an element in there? But
no, I don't think they did.
But I don't know how they're going to handle that, because that's going to, I think, be the most difficult thing for people, because it's either got to be an on-screen thing, which is going to fucking kick people in the nuts, or it's going to be an off-screen thing, which is going to kick people in the nuts.
I think it's going to be an off-screen thing.
Yeah.
I think it would be too far to have a CGI version of Black Panther suited up that you can't see his face and then gets killed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think that would feel a bit questionable, to say the least. I think it'll be an off-screen thing. I think that's how it's going to start, is the announcement of T'Challa's death in one way or another. And then it'll go from there. But I did appreciate that the fact that most of the trailer focused on the grief and the mourning of, Nakia, Okoye, Shuri, Queen Ramonda.
We hardly saw Okoye in the trailer. She's Lupita Nyong'o's character, right? Am I?
No, that Lupita's Nakia. Okoye is Danai Gurira.
Yes, I'm sorry. We did see some.
She literally just steps out of the darkness at one point, and I think there's a shot of her with the rest of the Dora Milaje later on.
And we didn't really see Lupita Nyong'o's character, right?
Well, okay, so
yeah, I mean,
coming on to the inevitable, right?
Who's going to don the suit?
I think it's Nakia, personally.
Yes. This is my feeling as well.
One of the biggest clues is that the trailer starts with her, and then it ends with the Black Panther. Now, to me, that's kind of a bit of a signifier that she is going to be a focus point of the film. I don't think Shuri's going to be her, Black Panther, because of Letitia Wright's questionable social media posts and opinions.
It's a shame.
It is a shame, because Shuri as Black Panther is amazing in the comics. Like, is amazing, and her suit is fantastic.
I think having
Disney
an actor
aren't going to do that.
No, having an actor. I mean, they're very good at managing people out. The way they managed Gina Carano out, which in and of itself is quite a sinister thing. But hey, it's a big corporation, and they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
And I think her role will be. I don't think her role in the film will be minimised. I think her role going forward will be minimised.
Yeah,
and I think you're absolutely right. It is Nakia.
Okoye is the Dora Milaje. Do you know what I mean? I think it would feel weird because she's so closely tied to that.
Sure.
I think that would be weird. Whereas Nakia can just slip into that role, and she's already kind of there, and her arc would feel natural for that.
Yeah, because
she has a couple of lines in the first film where she's like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to be queen." So where else is there to go?
And also, she was very much about the working person.
Yes,
in Wakanda, and the working 100%. Person in the world in the first movie, and it's interesting that it would be interesting to have the Black Panther not be someone from a royal lineage next.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that would be cool.
And she's also the non-extremist version of Killmonger, because she's sort of aware that they can help the wider world without being, militarized. So I think Nakia personally. But what do you think about Namor?
I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. Like, I don't know the actor. I think this is the first thing he's ever done. I think
I'm not familiar with
um,
him.
I think he's quite a young new actor. Tenoch Huerta, if I'm saying that right. I hope I am. And I think it's going to be I mean, the world of the MCU is getting big now. I mean, it's getting really freaking huge. And after this, there really is only Westchester and the Baxter Building to go, you know, and we've kind of covered an awful lot of it. So, and it very much looks like Wakanda going to war with Atlantis.
Yeah.
Which is
Atlantis going to war with Wakanda.
Yeah, and there's some stunning images in that thing. I'm thinking of like the humpback whales and stuff like that. It just looks gorgeous, and I hope.
And him floating onto the throne with the whale skull. I was like, yes, great. Do more of that.
I'm praying that they give the film some breathing room and there's space to absorb all that for the audience. And it's the one time one of the few times where I've sat there in a Marvel or looking at a trailer for a Marvel movie and going, I really hope this is a long movie.
Yeah.
I really hope
it's gonna need it because there's a lot of moving parts. Do you know what I mean?
I've been quite glad that a lot of the Marvel movies have been a bit shorter this time around, but it's like this actually looks like an event movie. Like, I mean that in the way like this could be Endgame. Yes. This could be Infinity War, you know what I mean? And I don't know why they're not building towards I would have maybe liked to have seen this at the end of Phase 4 and have it be Phase 4's. This is the freaking thing. This is the war this time around. And we're going to get Ironheart.
Yes, Riri Williams.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, I'm excited for that.
Because obviously she's getting her own TV series.
Yeah. Dominique,
just to whip.
Can you help me with her name? Dominique
Thorne.
Yes, it. Thank you.
Yeah, because she's getting her own Disney Plus series, which could be great. And good God, there's just so many. There's Secret Invasion. There's Echo. There's obviously Born Again. There's Armor Wars, which was conveniently left off the slate for this announcement.
Yeah, which is interesting because that would tie in nicely with its Iron Man connections. It would kind of tie in with Ironheart, one would think.
Yeah, it's not impossible that they've just pushed it further down the line post Ironheart and post Wakanda Forever. But I was just like, interesting.
And Ironheart is quite far away. That's not until next autumn. So we're looking at another year nearly, or year and a bit for that. Before we get that, we're going to have, as you say, Secret Invasion. I've got no clue as to how they're going to do this, really, or what elements it's going to take from the comics.
From what I've heard, it's going to be a much more scaled down version and closer to like Winter Soldier and Civil War in terms of like espionage focused rather than like actual invasion. And I'm all for that. My favorite Marvel film of the last sort of 10 years has been Winter Soldier. So give me more of that, please and thank you. Apparently, Sam Jackson is looking very disheveled in it, which is interesting considering the last time we saw him was on a Skrull spaceship at the end of Far From Home. So, interesting.
I don't know. Funny enough, Ben Kingsley, Kingsley Ben Amir. Is it? Yeah, Kingsley Ben Amir, right? Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Amir.
He's in it.
I'm terrible with names. Luckily, only at crucial times like this when.
Story.
No, not at any other time. So he came into the store where I'm working last year, looking for Secret Invasion.
Interesting.
And I kind of saw him, but didn't like. We kind of have a policy not to disturb,
Yeah.
the famous peoples. So I didn't sort of go up and say anything to him. But I really like him as an actor. He's done a couple of things that I've really loved, including the Anna Kendrick Love Life. I don't know if you saw that that show. Great show. He was great in that. I'm really looking forward to him. Really kind of interested to see what Emilia Clarke's gonna do. And I hope they're going to be a little let her be a little monster in it and just really be nasty.
Yeah, are you thinking Queen Varanki or Varank, however you pronounce?
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, although would that be too close to her having played Daenerys? And
true. Yeah, true. Possibly. I mean, I'd be up for it, but I mean, Olivia Colman's in it as well. I'm still not over that. Olivia Colman is in Secret Invasion. What? Sorry, those words don't go together.
So one of the interesting effects that I find the MCU has had on cinema is now people think it's the highest form of compliment.
Yeah.
To go, oh, they'd be great in a Marvel movie. Oh, it'd be great if he directed a Marvel movie. And it's just like, yeah, maybe it wouldn't, though. like maybe it wouldn't. Maybe.
Yeah. Not every actor needs to be in a costume.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Liz about this the other day. Like, Steven Spielberg, they're apparently, like, this is probably bullshit, but they're apparently talking to Steven Spielberg about Fantastic Four.
Now, look, he would do a great Fantastic Four movie because, of course, he would. It's Steven Spielberg.
And it would also, I think Spielberg now has in terms of image and press, if you like, I think Spielberg as a brand, if you want to reduce it down to that, has a problem with relevance in the modern, even though still probably the best cinematic storyteller out there, and who understands how to move a camera and use a camera and cut film far better than anyone who's ever directed a Marvel movie does. Sorry.
Sam Raimi, come on.
Oh yeah, actually, you know what? Doctor Strange was insanely good. Much better than
Spider-Man 1 and 2 are Marvel movies, Paul.
Yeah, I don't really like I like Spider-Man 2, but I don't like the first Spider-Man. Sorry, I don't. No, it's fine. It's fine. We can argue about this stuff. But I don't think, like, I always feel like, you know how they have story committees working at Marvel and Pixar and Star Wars. I actually think they might need a filmmaking committee where
it's not a bad idea.
Where, as these guys are making a film, someone gets to call up Edgar Wright and go, "All right, I'm having trouble moving from this scene to this scene. What's the most interesting way for me to do it? Okay, you do it like this.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm having trouble hitting the emotional points of this. Okay, we'll maybe drop this and do this." And I genuinely feel that there is. The thing is, they're all good directors, but there's something.
But they have to work to the machine, you know.
Yeah,
they have to work to the Marvel conveyor.
There is something about the machine, and I wonder if there was an element of Sam Raimi just coming in and going, "Yeah, if I do this, like, you guys are going to have to fuck off and let me
be weird."
Yeah, and let me do it, because that was the most interesting Marvel movie of this phase.
Yeah, the weird, like, 90s psychedelia.
Yeah,
like the dream walking stuff. I was like, what?
And just that one sequence of, we're going to zap through the multiverses, and it was just utterly wild.
I mean, the haunting of Wanda Maximoff.
Yeah,
yes, please, amazing.
It's just
I completely agree.
Completely made by a man who understands film and understands how to move it. I mean, I grew up in an age of, the 70s, 80s, 90s film and all that kind of stuff. And I do sometimes feel, this is the old man argument, and I'm sorry for this, that the best of film has gone by. Like, that's it. It's just done. And I especially got that sense watching Spider-Man No Way Home. It's just like, film as I knew it is over. And the quality of film that I knew, dead. It's just dead.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you being a younger person who's perhaps able to adapt to this stuff a bit easier, mate.
It was the nostalgia bait, you know. I'm hook, line, and sinker for it. I was, you know, they are aiming at people like me that grew up with this, you know, this kind of era of movies and.
Yeah, I mean, I totally enjoyed the experience of watching No Way Home. Totally enjoyed it. However, was like, yeah, but it's done. Like there's a certain qualitative level now that you are all going to struggle to reach, and I think that for 100%, me, Doctor Strange got there. It was just like, oh yeah, great, and genuinely, I'm going to get hated for saying this, but Black Widow kind of almost got there as well. I thought Black Widow was an excellent movie up to a point.
Yeah, it's that. It had its moments until it was like, oh yeah, secret daughter that's still alive. Ha, lol.
Yeah, I mean, that was an obvious one.
It was like, oh, Olga Kurylenko's in the credits.
I wonder if it's
she's not been announced at all.
I wonder if it's the gorgeous actress with the penchant for spy movies that hasn't shown up in the film for the first 2 acts.
That was a ridiculous goof.
Yeah, they should have Kevin Spacey there and just kept her name off the credits and just like Kevin Spacey. So I don't mean Kevin Spacey as in Kevin Spacey as in could you appear in court on this day, sir? I mean, as in Kevin Spacey when he made Seven insisted that his name was dropped from the credits and that he wouldn't appear in any advertising.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they should have done that. And it 100%. Should have been, or maybe, and respectfully to Olga Kurylenko, got a bigger name to do that. So when you took off the mask, you were like, holy shit, it's.
Yeah.
But we digress. We're never getting through this. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3. Okay. I'm down. I'm like, what's it going to be? Who knows?
I saw recorded footage of the trailer.
So I haven't seen that.
I'm gonna cry.
Okay.
I know I'm gonna cry. In the background, you might be able to see a painting of Rocket and Groot. I'm gonna cry.
Big fan.
I will tell you now. Considering that this is going to look more closely at Rocket's origin and where he came from, it's going to be an emotional one.
So, given the appearance of the High Evolutionary, I can't remember the actor's name. Brilliant actor,
Chukwudi Iwuji.
Yes, thank you.
You
should come on every week, Eamon, because I can't remember anyone's name. But given his appearance and the things he was saying to the audience, because I did happen to catch that, I suspect he's obviously going to be the sort of creator of Groot, and we're going to go and like it would be not Groot, sorry, Rocket, and I think it would be interesting to have a film that is about the raccoon and the tree. Like,
yeah,
I think it would be a really interesting step and an entirely James Gunn step to go, we're going to, because, Drax has had his arc.
Mm-hmm. Pete Quill's had his.
Yeah, Pete Quill's definitely had his. Mantis has had his. I still don't know what's happened to Gamora. Like, she seems to have
she's off in the galaxy somewhere, sort of. She's very much like a Loki situation where she's the old version of herself because she got pulled through time. Which, again, is a ridiculous thing to say. Like, that sentence alone, I've just said that in 2022. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, what? These are just words. These are just words. Like, they don't make sense. They shouldn't make sense.
It's really fun. Like, I've made friends with this person recently who is relatively new to comics. A bit younger than I am, and she's really kind of intensely into, comics. Whereas being a bit older, I'm a bit more kind of blasé about, nah, don't like it, just stop reading it.
Yeah.
Don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Admittedly, with a lot of the films and stuff, I have to watch them. But it's interesting taking their opinions and their kind of view on things and putting it up against mine. And watching them kind of go through that really intense period of fandom and interest and love for this stuff. And I do love it. It's like Liz when she's on. I love that passion. I love that enthusiasm. But I am a bit more blasé about it. Guardians, I've got high hopes for. I think it's going to be the entertaining film that Thor: Love and Thunder should have been and wasn't. Sorry, man, we've gone over.
No, it's all right.
So I've got high hopes for that. Likewise with Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think that's going to be a fascinating kind of.
But the thing is, it's like I'm excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp because of Kang. Like I'm not excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp because of Ant-Man and the Wasp and Cassie Lang. It's Jonathan Majors. Like that's the reason I'm all up for this. Bill Murray's in it. Bill Murray's in it, and I'm not fussed. Like I just want to know about Kang. So
last year I went to MCM and I got to watch my friend Claire did the Q&A with Hiddleston and Jonathan Majors and Sophie DiMartino. And of the three of them, he was the one that really fascinated me as an actor because he was just clearly like, I'm not going to give you the answers that you are expecting for this. Yeah. I'm going completely off script. And he just seems to be constantly living in his own world. And I love that because it's just like, oh man, this is going to be a fascinating actor. He was he was great in that last episode.
He was fantastic. He's so gleeful. But like even at Comic-Con, he was there and Joshua Horowitz interviewed him and he was like, so you are Kang, you are going to be in Avengers, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. He went, am I? Sure. All right. Well, he's like, they've said it, so I am. It's really funny. I was like, this guy, he knows what he's doing. It's
you get that sense that he could walk out at any minute and go, I'm bored of this.
100%. But
Kang Dynasty, not a story I know. It is available in like a Kang omnibus that's put out by Panini now.
Busiek, isn't it? Busiek?
Yes, yeah.
And it's basically, from what I remember, just Kang overthrowing the planet.
Yes,
I think.
I believe.
Now that is going to be different. I'm 100% convinced that it's going to be a lot different on the big screen. I think because of everything he said, of who remains at the end of Loki said about all the Kang variants. I think he's got his eyes on much bigger prizes than just Earth in 2025 or whenever it's set. I think he just wants the entire of the universe / reality / the multiverse to himself. And I think it is, even though they've got two completely separate titles, I think they are part 1 and part 2 technically. And I think the end of Kang Dynasty is going to lead into Incursions and Battleworld.
Okay.
You know?
Which we will get to in a minute. I just want to skim through some of the others. Sorry guys for you watching. If you're bored and falling asleep, it's all my fault. So Loki season 2, we don't know what that's going to be. We've got a good idea, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I don't want to say too much about that just because so little of it is kind of known.
There's not really much. It's filming at the minute. So we'll probably get news, images, maybe a couple of months' time. Probably set photos, a couple of months' time.
Yeah. Ironheart, we've already talked about. Blade, again.
The thing with Blade is that they should just make a horror movie. Just make a horror movie and then Blade is in it. That's my only requirement. I don't want massive universe stakes. Just give me Blade trapped in a vampire nest. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Something down and dirty. And then, Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which seems to have changed its title.
Yeah, because it was House of Harkness.
Yeah, and now it's
Coven of Chaos.
Coven of Chaos, which does seem to then lead more into the Multiverse of Madness type kind of vibe, really. So I'm down with that. I love Catherine Hahn, as everyone
say. More
to.
Catherine Hahn is just fine. Just yes, please, thank you very much. She's great.
Yeah, and one of those actors who can modulate tone very well and kind of move from up here to sort of down here, and I'm very much interested in any actor who can do that, like Jonathan Majors. Like I think I'd love to see those two together.
Yeah,
given full rent to their characters. Also, Captain America: New World Order, which is going to be Captain America 4, effectively.
Yeah.
Again, no freaking clue what this is going to be.
Sam Wilson.
Yeah. I hope they change that costume.
Are you not a fan? The only bit I'm not a fan of is this bit.
Yeah.
We just give him the goggles back. Just give him the goggles back, man. This whole face thing, it doesn't just looks unflattering and weird.
There is part of me that wants to see him in the full Cap costume at some point.
Just the normal Cap costume with wings. Sure, gimme.
Yeah.
Fine. Absolutely.
Or even without wings, just to see him kind of grounded and like there is something about that costume I think that really works well, even though apparently Chris Evans hates it. Like he's very much like it's the worst costume. It's like I'm not so sure, man.
Yeah, but
I'm not so sure. And then Thunderbolts again. I know nothing about this. I mean I know a bit about Kurt Busiek.
Yeah.
Kurt Busiek, as a comics writer, is about to have the best year of his life.
He is if Disney and Marvel are paying him properly.
Yeah, let's hope. The thing is, Kurt Busiek is a very vocal writer, and I don't think they're going to be able to get away with not. And recently, Devin Grayson, who I've got an interview coming up with on the website,
nice.
Like a written interview that's been keeps getting delayed, unfortunately, due to my inadequacies as a writer. Unfortunately, she had talked about this sort of stuff about the Marvel payment or not getting paid and what they're promised and what they're actually given in that interview. So that's going to be coming up very soon. Do look out for that. She has recently done other interviews with other publications along with some other writers about this idea, because she created Yelena Belova, who's now become a major kind of part of this new kind of version of the MCU. Like Kurt Busiek will be very vocal about not getting paid,
and so he should, he should.
Surely, with all the billions rolling in, there needs to be some kind of communal fund for the writers.
Has to be, and artists. Let's not forget the artists as well.
Very true. Although I feel that although they, and again, I'm not disrespecting the artists when I say this, or trying not to anyway. Although you adapt the look of characters, you don't always adapt the visual style, and that's a bit more tricky.
But I think in terms of something like Love and Thunder, which directly pulled imagery from Esad Ribic's work,
definitely. And again, it just has to be a communal fund where you're going, okay, you're going to get a percentage of this big fund.
Yeah, definitely.
And that big fund might be worth like $1 billion or $2 billion because they can. I'm sorry, they can.
They can afford, 100%.
And I think the way you sell that to shareholders is you go, look, you may end up with slightly less money on your dividends, but this is going to save us a whole ton of legal trouble and it's going to make everyone happy. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it is a business decision. Mm-hmm. Sorry. So Thunderbolts, I don't know much about. The big one, of course, for us and for you, I think you wrote an article about this recently.
I did, yeah.
Can you just refresh my memory as to which?
It's for Looper.
For Looper.
Looper.com. Yeah.
I will stick a link to that article in, and you should read it. Eamon's writing is a lot of fun and always very informative.
Thank you.
Secret Wars. I mean, this has been rumored for a little while.
I think it's been rumored since like the end of Endgame, pretty much, because the Russos were like, we're not done. We'll come back for Secret Wars, and now it's like, oh, actually, they probably won't. Well, it's just quite funny.
They've said they won't be directing it. Now, the interesting thing is they've done a bunch of stuff for Netflix. So they did Extraction. They produced Extraction for Netflix.
And then they done just directed The Grey Man.
Yeah. Successfully or not, I don't know. I haven't watched this film yet. I'm hearing a mix of things.
Hey, look, if you go into it expecting an action movie along the lines of the Bourne sort of guys, with the sort of Netflix approach, you won't be disappointed. It's not going to change the world. It's fine. It's all right. I enjoyed it. It's nothing below the surface, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Chris Evans being a dick, it's great, to be honest. Any chance Chris Evans like bitching people out and being sassy? Sure.
We love it when good guys become knobs, don't we? It's
exactly.
There is something in that.
He has the best line in the film, which was, "If you want to make an omelette, you got to kill some people." I was like, done. I'm out. Sold. Great. So. Moving on.
The interesting thing is I wonder if their Netflix deal makes them less attractive to the kind of vertical integration that Disney like. But Secret Wars. Now we know for Kang, for the Kang dynasty, Daniel Dustin Cretton is director.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big jump from Shang-Chi to this.
Just a little bit. That is the equivalent of going from like first Avenger to like Endgame, pretty much. I'm 100% fine with it because the 3/4 of Shang-Chi that are just character driven and really stylistic were incredible. I think the quarter of the dragon fight thing at the end was ropey. But I think his style and his heart will really come in handy for Kang Dynasty to make it feel weighty, especially because it's a title that audiences aren't going to be familiar with. It's like, because I don't think anybody's actually said Kang in the MCU yet. So
no, that's you're absolutely right, and it does lean into that thing of Marvel, whereas no one really, again, no one runs around calling each other Iron Man or Captain America or whatever. It's Steve, it's Tony, it's this, it's that. It's not, the actual names of these characters are kind of just thrown away. And I think where they're given weight, things like Miss Marvel. Have you seen the end of Miss Marvel yet?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
dude, I cried like a bitch. I just cried and cried and cried during that episode. Like I must have cried 3 or 4 times. And no, I'm being serious. And they were all moments involving the parents. Like it was all moments involving the parents. And
the acceptance, Jesus, so well done.
It was so well done, and just the moment where he gives her like he gives the character her name, basically, and it's just I love it so much. I was just crying like a baby.
The only thing that irritated me with that was like, are you telling me that the world's biggest Captain Marvel fan doesn't know that her name means Marvel in her in Urdu?
Well, for me, that spoke to the fact that because it's not don't they say that it's not an Urdu word? It's like a word from, or like it means different things. I suspect that she also, it does say something about the disattachment from one's roots. And I think in that moment you get that connection of how she brings all these separate things. Sorry, now we're not even talking about the phase. Anyway, we've got that still to come. Now that that's in July next year. Again, I just don't know. Unknown quantity. Captain Marvel was not a film I really enjoyed Captain Marvel, and yet I didn't for various reasons. I think my problem was entirely with Brie Larson. Just like I think so much of it these days is how the actors go out and manage themselves in the world when they're doing press, and I feel a lot of that stuff dampened my enthusiasm. However, I'm still excited for the film, and I still think she's a good actor. I very rarely have a problem with what these guys are saying. It's just the way they say it. So I very much am keen to see what happens next with that, especially if it picks up and it's actually kind of a quasi comedy rooted in the world of Miss Marvel rather than rooted in the Carol Danvers stuff. So yeah, I really want to see what's going to happen there. But Secret Wars, I mean, do you think we're going to get Hickman Secret Wars, or do you think we're going to get 1984 Secret Wars?
We're going to get Hickman Secret Wars. Realistically, I mean,
right.
84 Secret Wars is great for obvious reasons. Jim Shooter, excellent writer. But you have to remember that was done as a way of selling merch and selling, getting an influx of readers, because it was like all of your favorite characters in one. Read it.
I believe it's a request from a toy company.
It was, yeah. It was. I think pretty sure it was like Hasbro or somebody. I can't remember. And it's not simplistic, obviously. But like in terms of Hickman's stuff automatically lends itself to the big screen, just because of the scale and the depth of storytelling that he uses. Like, his stuff is just so, like, he must have a pinboard of just like everything, because it's like galaxy brain level stories that I'm just like, oh right, okay, and they're amazing. And I think realistically, his Secret Wars lends itself to the MCU a lot better. I think the way you do it is you replace Doctor Doom with Kang. Fantastic Four only arrives a year before Secret Wars actually comes out, and if you're going to introduce Doctor Doom in that, not much time.
The interesting thing with Kang is that although Kang his real name is Nathaniel Richards, he is apparently meant to be a distant relative to Victor Von Doom. Like a descendant of Victor Von Doom, and I think young Nathaniel Richards sort of arrives in the like way into Marvel's future, and then meets himself at various points as the Conqueror. Now, I'm desperate to see the FF in the MCU. I'm desperate to see Galactus. I am. Yeah. They're even talking about now. They're talking about like some of this stuff is 2023, 2024, 2025. According to some of these articles, they're now talking about 2026 as well.
Well, the thing is, it's like because they didn't really announce much from Phase 6, bar these Avengers movies and Fantastic Four. We don't really know what that era looks like past that. But obviously D23 is on the horizon for September, so we're probably going to get a little bit more clarity of other projects then. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some more solo projects scattered in between those Avengers movies and beyond, probably. So yeah. I can see Doctor Doom being in Secret Wars, but I don't think he should be the main villain. I think you need to wrap up the Kang storyline with it, because you don't bookend a year with 2 Avengers movies and not have them connected. Like that would be a really weird approach. So
because what was the gap between Infinity War and Endgame? Was it 6 months? Was it a year?
It was a year.
Right.
But because this is like, I'm pretty sure it's 6 months, 7 months.
Right.
That's such a, and there's going to be something in the middle, realistically, because it's Marvel and they have to have something every 3 months.
Yeah.
there'll be something in the middle. Like that's going to be a big year. There's no way those two aren't going to be connected in some way. And I wouldn't be surprised if Doctor Doom becomes a big thing because of Secret Wars. But I don't think you should immediately go, here's your God Emperor Doom. Oh, okay, well, we've only just met him recently, so sure, fine. It took them 6 years to give you Thanos, like, in a big way.
And, of course, the other big thing we've got to get to at some point, we assume, is the X-Men.
Exactly. And I think, realistically, this is going to be the way that they just fold everything together. They'll reboot the continuity so that the X-Men are in it, I think. Because there's now talk that basically, and this is more of the business side of things, that the Fox deal, supposedly Marvel can't introduce a new cast or introduce the X-Men entirely until 2025. And if they do, they have to use the original cast. Now, Secret Wars is just like cameo goldmine, because you can just do, this is the X-Men world from the 2000s. Yeah. This is Ghost Rider. This is Inhumans. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be the way to go. And there'll be like a soft reboot where all of these things are come together. And if there's anything that, you know, for whatever rights issues that they want to pull out, for example, like Spider-Man, if Sony don't want to participate anymore, and they want Spider-Man for themselves, then Secret Wars would be the perfect way for them to be like, I don't think it'll happen. I think Spider-Man will stay in the MCU. I think Marvel are going to keep paying that deal off. But that's because of the way Secret Wars works with incursions and new realities and the continuity reboots. It's kind of like the MacGuffin, the portal in the sky to fix everything or shape it how you want going forward.
I loved the way they kicked Secret Wars off with, you know, the Molecule Man destroying every other world. And like, there were so many genius little ideas in it. And of course we get Thanos in Secret Wars. And it was, even though it played havoc, I mean, I don't know if you remember at the time it was coming out, it played absolute havoc with the release schedule and utterly destroyed the release schedule for 9 months.
And all the tie-ins were ridiculous as well.
Yeah. But I'm curious to see where they go with this. As always, I'm always interested. I was trying to say this to someone earlier, like I'm always interested. I'm not always excited, but I'm always interested. Even though it doesn't sound like I am.
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But like I say, D23 is on the horizon. We'll get more info at that point.
And of course, next year we have, just talking about other genre stuff, we've got Star Wars Celebration, which I believe you're going to.
I certainly am going to Star Wars Celebration, yes.
I did even try to get tickets, really.
Ridiculous. I was refreshing it from 6 o'clock, and I
in
got
the
it
morning.
on... No. It was in the evening. God, no. And I got on pretty quickly within about 15 minutes. And all the weekend tickets had gone. I put one in my basket, and by the time I checked out, it was like, yeah, no, you can't actually have that. So we're sending you back to the checkout. And I was like, for God's sake. So it's gonna be a good one. I'm very excited for that.
I'm hoping they release some press tickets between now and then. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, me too.
Nice one, Disney. But yeah, we'll see. I'd love to try. I'd love to take a look. And SDCC, which of course we are here talking about, I would love to try that one year and see what that's like.
I was meant to go in 2020.
Right. Did they actually even hold it in 2020, or did it get?
I think it got cancelled, but at my old job, they sort of was like, we've got accommodation sorted already. If you want to come, you just have to sort your own flights. I was like, that's fine. I am there.
Yeah.
And then they cancelled it. Great.
Guys, I mean, you've done a few years of reporting now, a much higher level than I do. You know, you've worked for a bunch of publications, and as I said, your work's always terrific. Having now been a journalist in the entertainment industry for a while, are you still full of that same excitement? Do you think is it, or do you now feel like it's gotten too much, or?
I feel like we are getting
not that it's gotten too much, because I know you enjoy this stuff, and
yeah, of course. Like, I feel like we are getting to the fatigue point, because it is just constant. And I think the reason why people used to be but there used to be a higher level of excitement for everything was because there was a gap. There was time between. There was time to wait. There was time to speculate. Whereas now it's every month practically.
Yeah.
So I do kind of find it hard to get excited, like in between things, because I'm like, oh, I only have to wait 3 weeks and then I can go see whatever. So like, yeah, it depends what it is. If it's a character that I'm particularly excited about, then I would be more excited, obviously. Or if I've got like a bit of a personal like love for. So like, even though I'm sure we could spend another half an hour talking about Moon Knight, I was stoked for Moon Knight because I loved Moon Knight. You know, the Lamaya run, the Charlie Houston run. Do you know what I mean? I was so excited for that. I something like Miss Marvel, even though I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, I wasn't as excited because I didn't have as much of a personal connection and personal love for the comics, even though they are great. It's never been something that I've like hugely resonated with.
I was utterly blown away by Miss Marvel.
Yeah, it's great.
I just loved how alive it felt and energetic it felt, and just how much fun it was. We've done 90 minutes on this, dude. I'm sorry for taking up so much of your evening with this.
No, it's all right.
Eamon, if people want to follow your stuff, where can they find you?
The best place to hear me ramble is Twitter, at Eamon Jacobs. Or you can find my stuff on Looper. But yeah, just follow me on Twitter for me ranting about Tron Legacy and Swamp Thing.
And obviously I will. Yeah. The film you'll see with all the stuff that just gets made anyway. Surely there's got to be a Tron 3 down the line, right?
There is, Paul. There is. And it's my personal mission that if they announce it properly, that production has started, I will be harassing every single outlet that I know to be like, set visit, do it, please, thank you.
If any editors or etc. are watching this now, you could do much worse than to hire this young man who is a terrific writer and does amazing stuff. I'm sorry, I've said it a few times, but I'm always incredibly impressed by him and stuff, and his outlook on the sort of entertainment industry. It's always really refreshing to read. And I will put as many links as I can to his relevant things here in the description box. Eamon, thank you for taking the time today to do this. It's
thank you for having me, man.
Always.
It's been a pleasure.
Obviously not at film screenings. It's not wonderful to see you at film screenings. All right, I don't know how I missed you.
I've got the brightest hair known to man, Paul. How did you miss me?
It's because we're both gingers, mate. It's,
right.
It's like you can't have two occupying the same space.
Supernova just sort of.
You get some sort of flux. Can you get anything you got coming up that you're excited to talk to people about just before we hit the end of this? Is there something you can mention? Like in
Sandman. I'm just really excited to watch Sandman.
Fantastic. And you'll be, I assume you'll be writing stuff about that?
If I can help it, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Good God. I may or may not have seen part of it already. And
well, I'll tell you what, you may or may not have. Bastard. You need to give your old pal here a shout when some of this stuff is in the offing, you know. Us old boys need to get on that grapevine too. Eamon, I soft invite. Do you want to come back and talk about Sandman at some point?
Absolutely, definitely.
Brilliant. We'll do a post Sandman recap if you want. We'll do that. Great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this, guys. Remember to follow at the Comic Crush for various articles and on film and TV and comics. There is a web shop too. It helps me immensely if you buy something from the web shop because that helps keep the website going. There's a Patreon, again, that helps keep the website going. That helps keep all this going. There's some Kang Dynasty comics in the web shop at the moment. So if you want those, grab them while you can, because I'm not sure they'll be there very long. But yeah, do keep up with us. Loads of new content coming today and the next few days on the Comic Crush. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye. We're out.